Welcome back to One Swell, everyone. Today we are exploring what is deep sea mining. Is it just the next gold rush for government and corporations to get in on? Or is it the next ecological disaster? Or even crazier, will it have a positive, lasting impact for future generations to come? Stick around while we dive real deep on this one to find out exactly what deep sea mining is and all that comes with it. Before we continue any further into this video, I just want to say my bad for my drawing abilities. They are not the best, but I thought this would be a great way to represent what I'm talking about in a more simple format. I just feel like the information out there is too crazy and too boring for people to understand. This is a super simple way that anyone can understand. And when you do, you can make a decision on where you stand. Before we get any further in this video, I want everyone to understand just the basic cycle here. This way you can kind of make the connection and understand why things are happening the way they are. All right? So we have government. Good old government. Everyone knows what they're about. Everyone knows a little bit more what they're about lately these days. But this is not about that. Okay? What they do is they govern the corporations. Now these corporations, they design products, sell products, they market to consumers on a daily basis. Their products that they sell to people, that's us here, require certain ingredients, materials, pieces, parts, whatever it may be, to actually be developed, created, and sold. So what we've been doing for years is utilizing resources from land, whether that be forests, mines, anything you could think of that is predominantly land-based. Now, as we all know and have seen, things do get out of hand. That's where that exploitive nature comes in, where they do too much. But that too much usually comes from the increase in demand from us, which then increases the demand of production from the corporation. Now, forget land. Government and these corporations have set their sights on a new target, and it's what lies beneath the waves. And what lies beneath the waves is a treasure trove of resources, wildlife, and information valuable to this planet. Now that we know why they're doing it and why these things are happening, let's talk about how they're doing it. And just like the title of this video, we're going to find out what is deep sea mining. So for those of you who don't know what deep sea mining is, it's the extraction of minerals from the seabed between 3,000 meters and 6,000 meters. Now that is just an average. The topography of the seabed does change and varies drastically, so the working depth will change, right? But what are they even after at such a crazy depth? Well, it comes down to four basic things: polymetallic nodules, seafloor massive sulfides, also known as hydrothermal vents, cobalt-rich crusts, and other rare earth metals. Now let's talk about that treasure that they're all after a little bit more. So what is this treasure actually made of? Well, first up, we have polymetallic nodules. Now these are just small metal-rich rocks that are scattered in no particular order and of no particular shape or size. And if you've ever studied the ocean, you've probably seen them before. The second kind that we have here are the seafloor massive sulfides. Those are also known as hydrothermal vents. I don't know about you, but growing up I did watch a lot of Discovery Channel, and whenever they had a video about the deep, this is one of the first pieces of footage they always showed. Now these are just metal-rich deposits, and they happen near volcanic activity. And the third and final type is the cobalt-rich crusts. These are just mineral layers that are on top of underwater mountains, otherwise known as seamounts. Now you don't really need to know all the terminology or what they're made of, but these are for just general reference, okay? What really matters is what they're after within these things. And that could be broken down into nickel, copper, and cobalt. Now, why are they after these elements? Well, they're after these elements or metals because it's what's in everything that we use today, technology-wise, okay? Anything from your phone, the device you're watching this video on, to batteries, they all contain some form of these elements. So now that we fully understand what they're after, let's find out how they actually go about getting this stuff. It's pretty crazy, right? We're talking 3,000 to 6,000 meters below the surface. That's insanely deep. They have to have some pretty advanced technology to be able to even do this in the first place. So let's talk about a few ways that they might go about it. Traditionally, we have people going into mines using hand tools and machinery to extract these minerals. Now, this is still happening in different parts of the world today. With the proposed deep sea mining, there are a wide range of new methods to extract these minerals. So first up, we have ROVs. These guys crawl along the sea floor using this shovel-like front to scoop up the seabed and suck it in, and then sends it up these tubes and so on, okay? I'm gonna talk about that second half after I show you the different methods of extraction first. Up next, we have the hydraulic suction dredger. Now this is basically, and if you look it up, it's a little crazy, but it's like an industrial, apocalyptic looking vacuum. Similar to the ROV, it crawls along the bottom of the seabed, vacuuming up anything that it can, sending it up. The third, but not the last, there are different types, but these are the main types, is the mechanical cutting machines. Now, you might have seen something like this on like How It's Made or Extreme Engineering on one of those kind of shows. But basically they use these giant blades to chop up the earth and then suck it in again and then sends it up the tubes. That's the bottom half. That's the vehicle in which they use to do the extraction. Now, in all of these cases, a couple things are constant. Once these pieces of machinery actually extract the minerals that they're after, they send them up tubes to a riser. Now this riser is connected to a ship or the mining vessel. It's also referred to as the processing vessel because any of the minerals that are taken from down here are sent up to here, processed on this ship, and then eventually shipped out to land. In every case, there's also a return pipe. Now the return pipe is passing back any of the water or unused sediments that these guys vacuumed up in the first place and sending it back down to the seabed. These guys are just looking for the minerals that they're after, not everything that comes with it. All right, so now we know how they're actually collecting this material. But what does that mean? And does it actually have any potential benefits to us? As global demands increase, we need the material and the resources to keep up with that. Once we do have that, we'll be able to increase production of these materials. In turn, the production of these materials will stabilize the supply chains in which these goods are traded, right, and utilized between industries. Now that can't be done without people, and because of that, the number of jobs will actually be able to increase, offering opportunities that never existed before in this entirely new industry. And with that, as always, comes the money. The other impact is land-based mining will actually decrease. Because of this, a couple things happen. The first, there will be less land pollution from runoffs in various communities around the world and the damaging effects that that actually has. Deforestation will slow down and we won't be damaging forest as rapidly as we are right now. And that is huge. And finally, the impact on human communities. The manual labor that is required in these traditional operations or in traditional models is astronomical and completely hazardous to those doing the work. A lot of communities may, in fact, start to recover, start to heal. So now that you know the potential benefits of deep sea mining, you might be wondering, how are people getting into this? How are people even starting their operations to start deep sea mining? Well, the answer is simple. The ISA, or the International Seabed Authority. They're the governing body that has issued over 30 permits to different companies and nations around the world. Some of those nations include the leaders who are making the biggest push to make this happen, and those are China, Norway, and Japan. And because of this heavy push to start this industry off and to begin profiting from it, we have the possibility of deep sea mining being a regulated industry within the next decade. That's pretty wild to think. Something that didn't even exist or wasn't even thought of not so long ago, actually happening and becoming a thing within the next 10 years. Here's the thing though, not everyone is convinced that deep sea mining is the way of the future. In the next video, we're gonna explore all the risks, controversies, and the fight that's happening right now to regulate or even stop deep sea mining efforts. So what do you think? Could deep sea mining be the answer to our resource shortage that we're having? Or is it just gonna set us up for failure in the future? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing to the video. It really helps the channel and it is greatly appreciated. And as always, remember this, together we can make a difference one swell at a time.